would in fact be out of the European Union. And I think that the important thing in a referendum, there will be a referendum in due course, there will be a referendum at some point in the next 10 years on this question. We must make sure that the European Economic Area is included as an option and emphasise to people that it's an economic relationship, not a political one, and we would be out of the European Union.
Well, what we want is the Swiss model. Switzerland, why are the hedge funds going to Zurich, to Switzerland? It's because they do not have to impose on Switzerland all these horrible EU regulations, like the hedge funds directive. That's why they're going. In the heart of Europe, but they're not in the EU. We could be as well. We're the largest single trading partner with the EU. I'm on the International Trade Committee. I don't go much, I must admit, but you know, there's free trade agreements going through that committee every time I go there. South Korea, India, Canada, Malaysia, a lot of Commonwealth countries. Why not the UK? And it is feasible, as we are the largest importer of goods from the EU. We've got to sell this. And I don't think actually EFTA and EEA is the right solution. If you look at the Foreign Affairs and International Trade paper, we did look into all of this. We need our own free trade agreement. It's entirely feasible. And if you look at the Labour Party manifesto of 1983, they actually set down a route for leaving. And it's not a bad route for leaving, so you might follow that.
Yes, I like the sound of this Swiss model. I haven't seen a picture of it yet. The arguments that Tim and David have made the arguments already, I would say this to you. You know, if countries as small as Switzerland and Norway can negotiate good trade deals with the European Union, then their biggest export market in the world could negotiate an even better one. We're going to just go on from the question a little bit, because whilst it's important and vital that the British public understand we won't be cut off and trade will continue, there's something else we should be emphasising, and that is that the European Union is a declining economic part of the world. There's a great big world out there, and wouldn't it be a good start to begin with a free trade deal with the Commonwealth? Wouldn't that be...
Rejected the Commonwealth and all the many fantastic trade and the money that can be made. Now, we've turned our heads to the EU, forgotten all about the Commonwealth. The fruit, the vegetables, all their produce, many Commonwealth countries really suffer. They struggle. The huge burdening tariffs placed on many countries all over the world through the EU is a sight for sore eyes. And I believe that if we can begin to turn our heads towards the Commonwealth, so much more can be achieved. I have in the past few weeks been invited to have meetings with dignitaries and commissioners from the Commonwealth, and I'm just in the process at this present moment setting up what is going to be known in UKIP as the Commonwealth, the Foreign and Commonwealth Forum, which invites Commonwealth businesses established in this country to come forth and get together and liaise with one another and give us the opportunities to lobby the government to change things.
Okay, we'll move now on to the question which I believe holds the honour of being the question that has travelled the furthest since being written. This is a question that was presented in London yesterday by a member who came up to see me afterwards and said, why didn't you choose my question? Well, there's so many questions that we can't get through quite all of them, but we'll have it today. It's from Jack Bolter in East Surrey, and it's a policy-related question to do with taxation and the minimum wage. The national minimum wage is now £5.93 an hour, which if you're working a 48-hour working week, would be £14,896 and 16 pence a year. Will the new leader amend that policy, the UKIP policy, to make the first £15,000 per year tax-free, not just £11,500? David Campbell-Van first.
Well, our policy is, and I think it's a very good policy, is no tax on minimum wage. Now that, of course, you know, some people minimum wage work more than the 48 hours. We can't pledge to more than 48, but 48 is affordable and doable. And if we are trying to get people off benefit, that even Ian Duncan Smith is trying to do, setting our policies in the process, then that is a huge incentive. It's really not good for people on low wages to be paying tax at all, is it? Because what's the incentive? Our benefits are such that they're better off often staying on benefits and going out to work. So no tax on minimum wage is our policy. I think it's a great policy, and we've got to get it out there because we've got to re-incentivise people to work.
Quite honestly, I think that policy is one of the best policies the party's ever produced. The reason our figure is lower than 15,000 is we base it on a 40-hour working week, which is about right. So whether we raise it or not, I don't know. All I would say is, whenever we launch a policy, it has to be a fiscally responsible policy, and it needs to be tested and costed. But I'm going to make just a broader point about our tax policy. Have you seen in the news lately that there are nearly 6 million people who've been overcharged on tax or undercharged on tax? The reason is so blindingly obvious that since the dimwit Gordon Brown got into the number 11 in 1997, the tax code in this country has doubled from 5,000 to 10,000 pages. We have the most complex tax system in the world. Is it any wonder we're in such a haulix with it as we are? And the UKIP idea of a simple, flat tax system so that no one's tax return will be more than one side of A4 is a winning policy, and we should use it again.
The situation with regards to question asked is uppermost in many people's minds. And I believe that the UK policy at the present moment is set something like at 11,500 or 12,500. But it's something that would have to be, as Nigel said, put to the members. The fiscal side of things have to be worked out. And this is what I mean by coming on board and working out our fiscal studies. So as when we put our questions and our ideas out there, particularly this situation with regard to tax, it really makes sense. So many parties are guilty of putting out all these fantastic fiscal studies with regard to tax. We need to make sure that we get it right. But hey, don't forget the essential Westminster direction. Without Westminster, we cannot make these policies that we put forward law.
Well, I said one part of what I believe in is help the underdog. And I think one way of helping the underdog is indeed no tax on minimum wage or incomes beneath it. So I very much agree with that. I hope also that it can be accompanied by radical simplification of the benefit system. And I want to work out with Gerard